Hello, good morning, everyone. This is George Paul with Genuine Financial Advisors, and today's segment is on FERS retirement for your annuity. All right, we have a lot of people out there starting FERS pension and a lot of misconceptions. So we're going to sit there and talk about some of the positives we have and the things that we need to look at when it comes to your pension. Okay, so the first thing and most important thing about understanding your FERS pension is two dates that you must know: my hire date and the date that we're looking to retire. And we got to make sure there's no mistakes with that, because it's going to make a big difference on how our pension's paid. And we use the term interchanging of pension and annuity. It's the same word when it comes to your retirement. An annuity is a fancy word for never being able to run out of money. And your pension is the same thing. Okay. Social Security is an annuity, never running out of money for you. So after we figure out those two important dates, we have to make sure everything is correct with our back office and our birth certificate, so to speak, for all federal employees. And that's the SF50 form. Now, when you first got hired, you got an SF50 form. Every time you have a job change, an increase in salary, location change, anything, a new SF50 form is produced for you. And they have to be all up to date, obviously. It's kind of like you're reading a book and you go from page 1 to page 2 to page 3 and so forth. If you miss a page or something's missing, we have a problem at retirement time. Now, about 10 years ago, they made everything digital. So it should all be there, but this is your job to find out and make sure that this is all intact and the information is correct here. Okay, so this is something we should all request a copy of our SF50s and keep a copy on your own records to protect yourself. Because if not, when we do retire, this can delay our pension being paid to us if something's out of sorts. Now, speaking about when you retire, you're looking for something called your credible service. Credible service will be what you're paid on your pension. And OPM, Office of Personnel Management, only pay you for years and months, not days. So let's say, for example, that we have 31 years of service, 8 months, and 15 days. When you retire, you're going to lose those 15 days, but the 31 years and 8 months, we're going to get paid for. So it gives us a chance to look and make sure we're on the right place. It gives us an opportunity to plan. I personally believe when we retire, when we're planning to retire, we need to get a complete physical before you retire. Let's get your eyes checked, your dental, everything checked up to date, and they're all excused to absences so we can burn off some of those 15 days. My personal opinion is I don't mind losing 3 or 4 days, but I'm not going to give the government 15 or 20 days. Okay. Now, what makes up credible service are 3 functions. Your civilian service, that's you're working for the post office, the VA, whatever it may be. The military service that you had, if you had any, and any unused sick time. Okay. Unused sick time will be added to our credible service. So that's something we're going to look at. Now, the other question people ask is, well, how about my annual leave? Annual leave that is earned when you retire is paid to you in about 15 to 30 days after retirement, a lump sum check. Okay. So we're talking about FERS, and you have to have something called your minimum retirement age and years of career service, and they have to hit simultaneously so we don't have any problems. So your minimum retirement age is between 55 and 57 with 30 years of credible service, 60 with 20 years, or 62 with 5. Okay, that's for most of us. If you're law enforcement, any of those type of things, you fall under the special provision for employees. But as a rule, we're looking at 56, 57 for minimum retirement age with 30 years of career service. And I think it's really important to understand that, there's a lot of that water cooler talk that you see out there. You're speaking with Sue or Joan or John at the coffee machine or the water cooler, and they're saying, well, I retired when you have a combination of 80, or I retired when I hit 56. And that could be true. But you need to have the facts in place to make sure you make the right choices and decisions about retirement, because you're only going to get to retire once. Okay. Now, being a FERS employee, the best time to retire is at the end of the month, 28th through the 31st. The reason being is you retire on the 28th. They're going to fund your pension, or the commencement date of your pension will begin on the 1st of the next month. So in our example, I have you retiring December 31st. Your commencement date or funding date is January 1st. And your first partial payment of your annuity is paid to you on February 1st. Okay. So you really don't have a lapse in cash flow. You retire on the 31st. We still owe us a pay. So we're getting another check on January 14th, for example. You have your sick time or your vacation time coming to your annual leave. And then you're going to get a partial payment starting on the 1st of that second month in February. But what would happen if you retired on January 2nd? Because the other agency, SERS, can retire at different times than us FERS. Well, they're not going to fund your pension in that situation until February 1st. And then you won't receive your first partial payment of your pension until March. So it's really important to know the rules, how to play by them, and to maximize your time with the federal government. That's why it's really important that you deal with people that work with the federal employee marketplace every day and are certified financial planners for federal employees. Now, when we figure out your federal pension, we talk about minimum retirement age and years of career service, right? The third thing we need to do is something called the high three. The high three are the 3 highest earning years that you have had consecutively as a career employee. So what's included in that high 3 number? Well, obviously your salary, your rate, but if you have a locality pay, that's included. Especially special salary rates, they're included. What's not included? Overtime's not included. Awards, bonuses, shift differentials, they're not included in that. So let's say you look at your Social Security report for this year and you made $100,000, but your rate with your locality pay is only $80,000. Your high 3 for your federal will be that $80,000. Okay. Overtime is great for today, but does nothing for us in the future in regards to our pension. Helps with Social Security, but not our pension. So there's 2 categories we're looking at for how to calculate your pension as a FERS employee. Now, if you retire less than 62, so if you're one of those people that have 56 years of service, for example, with 30 years of service, or 60 with at least 20 years of service, you're in less than 62 group. If you're after 62 with 62 and 5 years at least, you're in the enhanced benefits category. Now, when you retire from the FERS, you have 3 avenues of income for your pension, for your lifestyle, for your retirement. You have your FERS basic annuity pension. You have TSP that you've contributed to, correct? You get that. And you also are entitled to Social Security. Now, when does Social Security begin at the earliest? It's age 62. Remember that, right? You cannot take Social Security at 60 or 56 when you retire. But if we do it the right way with the minimum retirement age and years of career service, they're going to help us with this part. Let's look at that next. So we have the FERS contributions to your annuity. Just talks what you pay in towards your pension every year, every month, every pay. If you're hired before 2013, you're paying in 0.8%. Now, some accountants at the government realized they were not taking enough money from the employees to fund their pension. So in 2013, they did something called a revised annuity estimate. So if you're hired during 2013, you contributed 3.1% towards your pension. Guess what? The genius accountant for the federal government realized that we didn't raise it enough. So they, in 2014 and thereafter, they have a further revised annuity estimate, and those people are paying 4.4% towards your pension. Still not a bad deal when you look at the overall picture, what you're getting back. Now, remember we said you cannot take Social Security before 62, and how important it is to retire with minimum retirement age and years of career service. Because if you retire at 56, for example, with 30 years of service, we then get this thing called the Special Retirement Supplement. Now, we call it the Special Retirement Supplement. I've heard different names for it. Some people call it the bridge. Some people call it a gap filler. I call it a severance package because, in essence, they're going to pay you not to work. Okay? So if you are retiring prior to age 62 and you have the minimum retirement age and years of career service, they will pay you this portion of your Social Security not to work for the government anymore. And the supplement begins at retirement, but it will stop at age 62 because you're allowed to start collecting Social Security at that time. One thing is that you do not have to take Social Security at 62. Okay, that's part of making sure you have your financial plan in place because there's so many questions that people don't understand. One of them about Social Security is that 96% of the people choose to take Social Security at the wrong time, not the right time. Okay, let's go to the next topic. Here's an example of what they do. Now I have a question for you. How many people think that the government's going to give you this extra money because they're just nice people and they like you? No, they do nothing for free. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. In our example, we're going to have a 58-year-old man with 30 years of service, and his high three salary is going to be $80,000. So we're going to take $80,000 times 1%, and that equals $800. That's not your pension, right? Not your annuity. We're going to times it by your years of service, which is 30, and your pension, your annuity, will be $24,000 annually, or $2,000 a month. This person's 58 years old. He has minimum retirement age and years of career service. He is now qualified for the Special Retirement Supplement, the SRS. So SRS will take the 30 years of service times whatever Social Security for this person would be at age 62. And I'm going to say in our example, it's $2,000. Divide those numbers by 40, which gives you additional $1,500 per month. So this person would receive $3,500 before taxes and expenses at age 58. Now he'll have this SRS until age 62, at which time he can decide whether or not to turn on Social Security. Not bad, right? $3,500. But let's look and see what happens for the same individual if he retired at 62. Okay, so he's 62 with 30 years of service and still has a high three of $80,000. Well, the $80,000 is now times 1%, right? No, it's times 1.1%. Okay, which equals $880 times 30 years is $26,400 or $2,200 a month. Now, Social Security, he's turning it on 62, will be $2,000 a month, which will give him a pension of $4,200 monthly between his FERS pension and Social Security. That's a difference of $700 a month or $8,400 a year by pushing it off for those 4 years in our example. So they paid you, they charged you 10% of your pension in essence to give you this money, the SRS, for those few years. And I'll be honest with you, when I look at that 10% to me, if it's 57, 50, I see a value in that personally. If you're 60 and a half or 61, I have to wonder sometimes. I mean, there's people that are in bad marriages or relationships for more than a year. Maybe we can stick it out and get that 10% bonus. If we can't, we can't, but you need to know the options, don't you? It's not a guessing game here. So by having an $8,400 difference annually over 30-year retirement, that's $250,000. I could do a lot with $250,000, couldn't you? So really the question comes, what's 1.1% mean to you? It could be life-changing for some people, right? Being in the right place at the right time. Now, just to let you know that you can retire with a FERS early retirement if you've hit your minimum retirement age and at least 10 years of credible service. You can get a pension. Would you take it necessarily? Maybe not, and we'll talk about that. Because every year you would take this prior to age 62, you will have a 5% penalty for the rest of your life. So what would some people do in this case? VA nurses would come in here perhaps, and they'd get their 10 years of service. They'd be 56, 57. They'd leave and go work at a local hospital, at Jefferson or one of these local hospitals until they hit their retirement age, and then they come back and turn on their pensions. Now, the one thing when we do your retirement package with you, the people at GFA, my company, and I, we sit down and do all the paperwork for you. And one of the things that we need to discuss is that if you are married, the government is assuming that you are taking a surviving spouse benefit for your spouse. And what that is that you're taking a 50% pension to your spouse upon your passing. But there's a cost to that. We just talked about this. The government does nothing for free. So the cost for that is 10% of your annuity. The premium is 10%. So let's say your basic annual annuity is $24,000 annually, or $2,000 a month. Your premium for that will be 10% of $2,000 every month, or $200. So now instead of getting $2,000, you're getting $1,800. And what that will do will provide your spouse with $1,000 pre-tax and pre-expenses before, after you pass away. Now, if your spouse dies before you, they will stop taking the 10% cost out of your pension. But you will not receive any of the money we spent into the supplying that pension. It's kind of like a term policy if you think about. A term policy in life insurance is you pay money, and if you don't die, you don't get a refund. So in 10 years, you have spent $24,000. In 20 years, you spend $48,000. It really is an individual situation we talk about and go over. Sometimes it's the right deal, but other times it's necessarily not the right deal. And it depends on each and every individual situation. It's not cookie cutter. Okay. It's not one size fits all. We have to make sure it fits your scenario and your situation perfectly. Because once again, you're going to get to retire one time. Let's make sure it's right. These choices can be life-changing down the road. That's why, like I said before, it's very important that you have people like genuine financial advisors who are federal benefits experts. We do this every day. I can't do your job. You really don't do this. You don't know how this works. Let us come in, sit down with you, and go over it. Give us a call today to set up your complimentary one-on-one appointment. There's never a fee with us. You can email us, you can call us. We'll sit down and take the gray out of retirement and make it black and white. Make sure you know what you have, where you're going, what the costs are, and more importantly, that you're able to do it. I'm George Paul Taras with Genuine Financial Advisors. I appreciate your time. Thank you and have a great day.